The morning started like any other in Seoul until the sky disappeared. Dr. Kim. Hana was checking her computer when darkness fell across her laboratory window. She looked up and gasped. Massive black ships hung in the air above the city, so large they blocked out the sun completely. Hana pressed her face against the glass, her breath fogging the window. The ships were unlike anything she had ever seen. They were smooth and dark, with no visible engines or weapons, yet they floated silently in the sky like giant metal clouds. She grabbed her phone and saw the news reports flooding in. The same ships were appearing over every major city on Earth: New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, everywhere. High above the planet, Commander Veltar walked slowly across the bridge of his flagship. His tall, thin body moved with the confidence of someone who had done this job many times before, stopped at a large screen showing Earth's blue surface, and smiled coldly. Planet designation 4847, he said to his crew. Population, approximately 8 billion primitive bipeds. Estimated cleansing time, 72 hours. His officers nodded. They had destroyed thousands of worlds just like this one. The process was always the same. Arrive, destroy the major cities, wait for surrender, then finish the job. The primitive species below would panic, fight uselessly for a few hours, then give up. After that, they could strip the planet of its resources and move on to the next target. Veltar pressed a button on his control panel. Begin Phase 1. Target all major population centers. Down on Earth, Dr. Kim Hana watched in horror as bright beams of energy shot down from the ships. The beams hit the center of Seoul with tremendous force, and she felt the ground shake beneath her feet. Buildings in the distance crumbled like toys. Fire and smoke rose into the air. The alien attack had begun, but something strange happened. Instead of chaos and panic, Hana heard a loud siren that she had never heard before. All across the city, electronic billboards began flashing the same message: Emergency Protocol 7 active. All citizens report to designated shelters. Emergency Protocol 7. Hana had worked for the government for 10 years, but she had never heard of any Protocol 7? How could there be emergency plans for something like this? Her phone buzzed with a text message. Dr. Kim Hana, report to subway station exit 7 immediately. Bring your research files. This is not a drill. 200 kilometers away, General Park Min-ho sat in a room that officially did not exist. Bunker was buried deep beneath the Korean peninsula, built in secret over the past 15 years. Banks of computers lined the walls, and dozens of military officers worked at stations monitoring events across the globe. Sir, the attacks have begun, reported Colonel Lee Guan. Seoul, Busan, and Incheon are under bombardment, but our underground facilities are intact. Park Min-ho nodded grimly. For 15 years, a small group of military leaders had prepared for this day. Not because they knew aliens would come, but because they knew something would come eventually. They had built hidden bunkers, created secret communication networks, and developed plans that most governments thought were impossible. What about the other cities? Min-ho asked. New York, London, and Tokyo report similar patterns. Their hidden facilities are also responding. The global network is active. On his main screen, Park Min-ho watched data streaming in from around the world. Every alien energy beam was being measured and recorded. Every ship movement was being tracked. The aliens thought they were destroying humanity, but they were actually teaching humanity about their technology. Analysis of the energy weapons, he asked. Dr. Kim Hana's team is already working on it, Juan replied. She's being brought to the main research facility now. Commander Veltar frowned as he studied the reports from his attack ships. The humans were reacting differently than expected. Usually, when a species saw their cities burning, they would flood the communication channels with surrender offers. But Earth's communication networks had gone mostly silent. Only military frequencies remained active, and they were encrypted with codes his computers could not break. Status report, he demanded. Phase 1, complete, Commander. His weapons officer replied. Major population centers have been hit. However, we are detecting unexpected underground activity. There appear to be facilities beneath the surface that were not visible in our initial scans. Veltar's frown deepened. Impossible, our sensors would have detected any significant underground construction. Perhaps they built them specifically to avoid our sensors, sir. The commander felt a small chill run down his spine. In 4,000 years of conquest, no primitive species had ever prepared for their arrival. They were always surprised, always helpless. But the humans seemed to have been ready. Dr. Kim Hannah found herself in an elevator that went down much farther than she thought possible. When the doors opened, she stepped into a vast underground facility filled with scientists and military personnel. Everyone was calm and focused, as if they had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. A young officer approached her. "Dr. Kim, General Park is waiting for you. We need your expertise on the alien energy signatures immediately." As Hannah followed him through the facility, she realized that humanity's response to the alien attack was not desperate improvisation. It was a carefully planned operation that had been years in the making. The aliens had expected to find helpless prey, but instead they had found a trap. Above ground, the cities burned. But below ground, humanity was learning. That would make all the difference. The candle flickered in the underground laboratory as Dr. Kim Hannah held up a small piece of alien metal. 3 months had passed since the ships first appeared, and Seoul above her was nothing but broken buildings and empty streets. But down here, 200 feet below the surface, she was making discoveries that could change everything. "Look at this, Junho," she said to her assistant, Lee Junho, who sat across from her at a metal table covered with alien fragments. "This piece of their ship should not be able to do what it does." Junho leaned closer and watched as Hannah connected two thin wires to the metal fragment. Immediately, a small light bulb began to glow brightly, even though there was no battery or power source connected to it. "How is it making electricity?" Junho asked, his eyes wide with amazement. "That is the problem," Hannah replied, shaking her head. "According to everything we know about science, it should be impossible. The metal is somehow taking energy from empty air and turning it into power. But it works." She had been studying pieces of Warthog technology for weeks now. Every fragment told the same story. The aliens used science that human textbooks said could not exist. Yet somehow, their impossible technology was real and functional, far across the ruined city. Colonel Choi Daeho crouched behind a pile of broken concrete, watching 3 Vorthok soldiers patrol the street above. His men were spread out in hidden positions around the area, waiting for his signal. 3 months ago, Daeho had been a regular army officer who followed standard military procedures. Now he was something different, a hunter who had learned to kill aliens in the dark. The Vorthok soldiers walked in perfect formation, their blue energy shields glowing around their bodies like bubbles of light. They carried weapons that could burn through steel, and their armor made them nearly invincible at long range. But Daeho had learned their weaknesses. "Team 2, move to position," he whispered into his radio. "Remember, they always turn left at the corner. Never right. Never. Straight, always left." His soldiers had discovered something important about their enemies. The Vorthok were incredibly advanced, but they were also predictable. They followed the same patrol routes every night. They always responded to threats in the same way. Never changed their tactics or tried new approaches. Daeho watched as the aliens reached the corner and turned left, exactly as they had done every night for 3 months. His men were already waiting there with simple explosives and metal weapons. The aliens were powerful, but up close, with their shields overloaded by explosions. They died just like anyone else. The ambush was quick and quiet. Within minutes, 3 more Vorthok soldiers were dead. And Daeho's team was disappearing back into the underground tunnels with their equipment and weapons. "Another successful raid," reported Sergeant Park Soon-ho over the radio. "No casualties on our side." Daeho smiled grimly as he led his men through the dark tunnels. The aliens thought they were hunting helpless humans, but the truth was becoming the opposite. His soldiers had learned to move through the ruined city like ghosts. They knew every tunnel, every hiding spot, every escape route. The Vorthok, with all their advanced technology, were becoming the prey. Back in her laboratory, Dr. Kim Hannah was making another breakthrough. She had connected several alien metal fragments together and created something that looked like a small gun. But instead of bullets, it shot beams of energy just like Vorthok. Weapons, it works. She shouted excitedly as her makeshift weapon burned a hole through a thick steel plate. We can make their weapons. Junho stared at the device in amazement. But how? We do not understand their science. We do not need to understand it completely, Hannah explained. We just need to copy what works and make it better. Look, I changed the power flow here and made the beam twice as strong as the original. She was right. Humans might not understand alien physics, but they were very good at taking things apart, copying them, and improving them. In laboratories across the underground network, other scientists were making similar discoveries. They were learning to build alien technology with human improvements. Winter was coming to the ruined city above, but in the tunnels below, something new was growing. The survivors were no longer just hiding and hoping to live another day. They were learning, adapting, and becoming stronger. Colonel Choi Dae-ho visited Dr. Kim Hannah's laboratory that evening to see her new weapons. When she showed him the energy gun she had built, his eyes lit up with possibilities. How many of these can you make, he asked. The right materials? Maybe 50 by next month, Hannah replied. But I need more alien fragments to work with. I can get you more fragments, Dae-ho said, with a dangerous smile. My men are getting very good at taking things from dead aliens. In the months since the invasion began, both the scientists and soldiers had changed. The desperate fight for survival had made them harder, smarter, and more creative than they had ever been. The Vorthok had expected to destroy a primitive civilization in a few days. Instead, they had given humanity time to learn their technology and adapt it for war. Deep in the tunnels beneath Seoul, humanity was evolving into something the aliens had never encountered before. A species that grew stronger under pressure and turned every attack into a lesson. The real war was just beginning. The explosion lit up the night sky over what used to be downtown Seoul. Dr. Kim Hannah watched from her underground laboratory as her newest weapon successfully destroyed a Vorthok communication tower. After one full year of studying alien technology, her team had finally built something that could break through their energy shields. The shield penetrator worked perfectly, reported her assistant Lee Junho, reading data from their sensors. The energy beam cut right through their defenses like they were made of paper. Hannah smiled as she looked at the strange weapon on her workbench. It looked like someone had attached alien metal pieces to a regular human rifle, which was exactly what she had done. The weapon was ugly and made dangerous sparking sounds, but it could kill Vorthok soldiers through their protective shields. Send the blueprints to all resistance cells, she ordered. Every human fighter needs one of these. High above the planet, Commander Veltar stood in his command room staring at reports that made no sense. According to his computers, the humans should have been completely destroyed 6 months ago. Instead, they were launching successful attacks against his forces almost every night. Show me the footage again, he commanded his communications officer. On the main screen, surveillance. Video played showing human soldiers attacking a Vorthok supply depot. But these were not the same desperate survivors from a year ago. These humans moved with military precision, using weapons that looked like combinations of primitive human technology and advanced Vorthok energy systems. How are they building these weapons? Veltar demanded. Our technology cannot be reverse-engineered by primitives, science officer. A thin alien with large eyes nervously approached the commander. Sir, our engineers examined the human weapons we recovered. They claim the modifications are impossible. The humans have somehow made our energy systems more powerful than the originals. Veltar felt anger rising in his chest. Impossible. We have had this technology for thousands of years. No primitive species can improve upon Vorthok engineering in just 1 year. But the evidence was right there on the screen. Human soldiers were using weapons that outperformed standard Vorthok military equipment. Worse, they seemed to be getting better every week. Down in the tunnels beneath Seoul, Colonel Choi Dae-ho was planning his biggest operation yet. His small team of guerrilla fighters had grown into a real military force with over 500 soldiers. Each one carried weapons built by Dr. Kim Hanna's team. They had learned to fight in ways that confused and frustrated their alien enemies. Reports 3 Vorthok patrol ships will land at the old airport tomorrow night, he told his officers during their planning meeting. They follow the same landing pattern every time. North landing pad first, then south, then center. They never change. Sergeant Park Sun-ho raised his hand. What about their air support? They usually have fighter ships covering landing operations. That is where our new surprise comes in, Dae-ho replied with a grin. He gestured to Lieutenant Kim Min-soo, who was carrying a large weapon that looked like a rocket launcher covered in glowing alien parts. Dr. Hanna's team finished this yesterday, Min-soo explained. It shoots the same energy as Vorthok ship weapons, but somehow it is 3 times more powerful. We tested it on captured alien armor. It went through like the armor was not even there. Dae-ho's soldiers had learned something important about fighting the Vorthok. The aliens were very advanced, but they never changed their tactics. They did the same things the same way, every time. Once humans learned their patterns, it became easy to set traps and ambushes. Remember, Dae-ho told his team they will send rescue ships exactly 15 minutes after the first attack? We will be waiting. For those 2? Back in her laboratory, Dr. Kim Hanna was working on her most important discovery yet. She had found that human brains could somehow connect directly with Vorthok computer systems. When she put on a headset connected to alien technology, she could control their machines with her thoughts. This should not be possible, she muttered, as she used her mind to operate a captured Vorthok computer, but it works perfectly. Lee Jun-ho watched in amazement as Lana accessed alien databases and downloaded their technical information just by thinking about it. How are you doing that? I do not understand it completely, Hanna admitted. But human brains seem to work differently than Vorthok brains. They built their technology to be used in only one way. We can use it in ways they never imagined. She had discovered that while Vorthok technology was very advanced, it was also very rigid. The aliens saw their machines as perfect and unchangeable. Humans saw the same machines as starting points that could be modified and improved. Look at this, she said, showing Jun-ho a Vorthok energy weapon she had been modifying. Original. Weapon can fire 10 shots before recharging. I changed the power flow, and now it can fire 50 shots. The aliens never thought to try different configurations. That night, Colonel Choi Dae-ho's attack on the airport was a complete success. Using Dr. Kim Hanna's improved weapons and their knowledge of Vorthok tactics, his soldiers destroyed 3 enemy ships and captured enough equipment to arm 200 more fighters. Not a single human was killed in the operation. Commander Veltar received the report with growing dread. The humans were no longer just surviving, they were winning. In 2 years, they had gone from helpless victims to a genuine threat to his occupation force. For the first time in his long military career, Veltar began to wonder if the Vorthok Empire had made a terrible mistake by attacking Earth. The morning sun was just rising over the Pacific Ocean when the massive Vorthok mothership began to fall from the sky. Colonel Choi Dae-ho watched from the cockpit of his fighter as the enormous alien vessel, longer than 10 city blocks, slowly tilted and broke apart in the atmosphere. Pieces of burning metal rained down into the ocean like deadly fireworks. Target destroyed, he reported into his radio, trying to keep the excitement out of his voice. The mothership is down. Behind him flew 50 other human pilots and ships that looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before. The fighters were sleek and fast, built with human engineering skills and powered by improved Vorthok energy systems. Each ship was painted with the blue and white colors of Earth, and each pilot had trained for months to use weapons that their enemies had never expected to face. Excellent work, Colonel, came the voice of General Park Min-ho over the communication system. Return to base immediately. We have more targets to discuss. 2 years ago, Dae-ho had been hiding in tunnels with a handful of soldiers, fighting just to survive another day. Now, he commanded a real space fleet that could destroy the most powerful ships in the Vorthok Empire. The change still amazed him. Commander Veltar stood frozen on the bridge of his flagship. Stay staring at the empty space where the mothership Conquest of Stars had been floating just minutes before. The ship had been one of the pride vessels of the Vorthok fleet, equipped with weapons that could destroy entire cities and shields that could stop any known weapon. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "the homeworld is requesting an immediate status report." Veltar did not answer, could not understand what he was seeing. The humans had somehow built fighters that were faster and more powerful than anything in the Vorthok military. Where had primitives who lived in caves learned to construct starships? "Me the battle recording again," he finally commanded. On the main screen, the attack played out once more. The human fighters had appeared without warning, moving in perfect formation. Their weapons had cut through the mothership's shields like they were made of glass. The entire battle had lasted less than 10 minutes. Analysis, Veltar demanded. His science officer stepped forward nervously. "Commander, the human weapons appear to be based on our own energy systems, but they have been modified in ways we did not think were possible. Their power output is nearly double our standard weapons. Their ships, also based on our technology, but combined with their own engineering in ways that make them superior to our fighters in speed and maneuverability." Veltar felt something he had never experienced before in centuries of conquest: fear. The humans were not just fighting back anymore. They were winning, deep underground in her expanded laboratory. Dr. Kim Hannah smiled as she watched the battle reports coming in from around the world. The mothership destruction was just the beginning. Her teams had been working day and night for months, building weapons and ships that used the best of both human and Vorthok technology. "The neural interface systems are working perfectly," she reported to Lee Junho, who was monitoring data from the fighter pilots. "Our pilots can control their ships faster and more precisely than any Vorthok pilot." This had been her greatest discovery. Human brains could connect with alien technology in ways that even the aliens themselves could not. When a human pilot put on one of her specially designed helmets, they could think their ship through complex maneuvers that would be impossible using normal controls. Dr. Hannah came a voice over the intercom. "General Park wants to speak with you." She picked up the secure phone and heard the general's familiar voice. "Doctor, I need to know how many more ships we can build. The Vorthok fleet is retreating toward the edge of our solar system, but they will probably call for reinforcements. We can have 50 more fighters ready within 2 weeks," Hannah replied. "But I have been working on something bigger. A ship that can carry our fighters into deep space. A mothership of our own? Better than that. A ship that can go anywhere the Vorthok can go, but faster and with more firepower." In orbit around Earth, Captain Song Murray commanded humanity's first real starship from the bridge of what they had, named the Rising Sun. The ship was beautiful and deadly, built in hidden factories using techniques that combined human creativity with alien science. "Captain," reported her weapons officer, Lieutenant Park Jun, "long-range sensors show the Vorthok fleet regrouping near Jupiter. They appear to be preparing to leave the solar system." Murray smiled coldly. "They think they can run away after what they did to our cities. Should we pursue them? Not yet. Let them get comfortable first. Dr. Hannah's new navigation system means we can follow them anywhere they go. When they least expect it, we will arrive to finish what they started." Truth was that humanity had learned everything about Vorthok technology, including their star maps and navigation systems. The aliens could run to any part of the galaxy, but humans would be able to follow them. From his command bunker, General Park Min-ho watched status reports from across the planet. Human forces were no longer hiding in underground tunnels. We're launching attacks on Vorthok positions everywhere, using weapons and tactics that the aliens could not counter. The species that had come to end humanity had instead given humanity the tools to reach the stars. Soon, it would be the Vorthok Empire that faced extinction, and they would learn too late that attacking Earth had been the worst mistake in their long history of conquest. The space around Jupiter became a graveyard of burning ships. For 3 days, the final battle between humanity and the Vorthok Empire raged across the outer solar system. Dr. Kim Hannah stood on the bridge of the human flagship Victory, watching as her latest invention changed everything. quantum field disruptor. "Is ready," she announced to Admiral Choi Daeho, who stood beside her studying the enemy fleet positions. "This will shut down every piece of Vorthok technology within 1,000 kilometers." Daeho nodded grimly. "Do it." Hannah pressed a single button. On her control panel, across space, an invisible wave of energy spread out from the human ships. Instantly, every Vorthok vessel went dark. Their shields vanished, their weapons stopped working, and their engines died. The mighty alien warships became floating metal coffins. "All Vorthok technology is offline," reported Captain Song Murray from her position at the tactical station. "They are completely helpless." Admiral Daeho opened communications to the entire human fleet. "All ships, begin final assault. Show no mercy. They came to destroy our world. Today we destroy theirs." The human ships moved through space like hunting wolves. Each vessel was a perfect combination of human engineering and improved alien technology. They were faster, stronger, and more deadly than anything the Vorthok had ever built. The aliens, who had once seemed invincible, were now easy targets. Commander Veltar sat in his darkened command center, watching his empire die around him. His flagship's power was completely dead. Emergency lights flickered weakly as human ships closed in. From all directions, in 50 years of military service, he had conquered hundreds of worlds. Now his own fleet was being destroyed by the very species he had come to exterminate. "Sir," whispered his communications officer, "incoming transmission from the human fleet." "Put it through," Veltar said quietly. Admiral Daeho's face appeared on the screen. But he was not the desperate guerrilla fighter from 2 years ago. This was a confident military commander who controlled the most powerful fleet in known space. "Commander," Veltar Daeho said calmly, "you came to our world to destroy us. You killed billions of our people. Now your empire ends here." Veltar stared at the human who had learned to use Vorthok technology better than the Vorthok themselves. "What have we awakened?" he asked, more to himself than to Daeho. "You awakened humanity," Daeho replied, "and that was your final mistake." Transmission ended, and moments later, Veltar's ship exploded in a ball of bright fire. Across the battlefield, the last Vorthok vessels were being systematically destroyed. In 3 days, an empire that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was completely eliminated. When the battle ended, not a single Vorthok ship remained. Admiral Daeho stood on his bridge, looking out at the debris field that had once been the enemy fleet. His communications officer, Lieutenant Kim Taiho, approached with a status report. "All enemy vessels destroyed, sir. No survivors. The Vorthok Empire is finished." Daeho nodded slowly. "Send word to Earth. The war is over. Humanity has won." But the victory was only the beginning of a larger story. Within weeks, human exploration ships were traveling to every corner of the galaxy using Vorthok star maps and improved human technology. What they found was a universe full of alien civilizations that had lived in fear of the Vorthok Empire for centuries. Captain Song Murray commanded one of these exploration vessels. The New Dawn, as it approached a planet inhabited by a species called the Keldari. The blue-skinned aliens had been slaves of the Vorthok for over a century. "Captain," reported her science officer, "we are receiving multiple transmissions from the planet's surface. They are asking if it is true that the Vorthok Empire has been destroyed." "Tell them it is true," Murray replied. "Tell them humanity destroyed the Vorthok fleet completely. They are free." The response from the planet was immediate. Celebrations began in every city. The Keldari had dreamed of freedom for generations, never believing it was possible. Now the impossible had happened, and their liberators were the humans from a small blue world that most species had never heard of. Back on Earth, General Park Min-ho, now an old man with gray hair, sat in his office reading reports from across the galaxy. Every day brought new messages from alien civilizations requesting peaceful contact with humanity. Word had spread quickly. There was a new power in the galaxy, one that had accomplished what no one thought possible. "Sir," said his aide, Colonel Lee Jae-won, "we have received formal surrender offers from 17 different alien governments. They all want to negotiate peace treaties before we decide to attack them." Park Min-ho smiled. Tell them humanity is not interested in conquest. We only destroy those who threaten Earth first. In her new laboratory on a space station orbiting Mars, Dr. Kim Hanna continued her research into combining human and alien technologies. Every month brought new breakthroughs that made humanity's weapons and ships even more advanced. She had teams of scientists working on dozens of different projects, always improving, always innovating. Dr. Hanna said her assistant Lee Jun-ho, the director of his own research division, the latest scanner upgrades are complete. Our ships can now detect any alien vessel within 50 light years. Excellent, Hanna replied. Make sure every human ship gets the upgrade. The galaxy should know that we can see them coming from very far away. Across the galaxy, alien species shared stories and warnings through their communication networks. They spoke of the humans from Earth, the species that had turned a war of extermination into their own evolution. The humans who grew stronger from every attack, who learned from every enemy, and who had become the most dangerous predators in known space. The Vorthok Empire was gone. But humanity was just beginning to explore their new role as the galaxy's apex species.